I'm the CEO and founder of FoundersLane. I'm as well the board member of the Digital Leaders of the World Economic Forum. I'm also an investor, so I'm a limited partner of VC funds, for example, Cavalry. As I know that you are also as well in touch with them, I'm mentioning them here. I'm also an investor in private equity, and also I'm investing as business angel in startups. And I'm initiator and author of Fightback. I just finished my second book now on the topic, how you leverage your assets for a new normal. My background, I'm an entrepreneur for more than 20 years. I would call myself a mission-driven entrepreneur. So I like big missions. It's not only for me about the growth as such, it's for me to actually achieve something. For example, with Share the Meal, what I also initiated with others together, where you actually solve the problem of world hunger in one way or the other. At least we contribute to it. Platform where you can donate money for children, and nowadays we have fed more than 70 million children with this app. That's why mission driven. So FoundersLane is here focusing, for example, especially on the topics health and climate. So contributing in both areas in one way or the other. Obviously, we know we will not solve it just with our work, but we know that we can contribute in a very meaningful way. That's me. Study-wise, university-wise, I studied in Europe, Asia, and US. Business informatics, international management, and psychology.
Cool. So very rich career and I mean personal background as well. Felix, can you tell us a little bit about FoundersLane and the venture builders?
Yeah. So FoundersLane, we call is a corporate venture builder in climate and health. It's a 5-year-old company. We are totally independent. We don't have any investors. We don't have any other equity partnership with a consultancy or such. We are based in Berlin, in London, as well. We have some side offices in the MENA region as well in Russia. We are operating in Asia, in the MENA region, and in Europe. And as said, focusing on climate and health. We have a team of about more than 200 people. We have created, the people in our company have created an enterprise value of more than 30 billion. Maybe now it's a good time also to explain what is a corporate venture builder, I would guess. But always important to give some key facts that you understand the position and also the history of FoundersLane as such. A corporate venture builder is different to a venture builder as it includes the word corporate, right? So what is the difference? We are building ventures together with corporates. So we are working directly together with the board members or owners of corporates. Here we are talking of companies that normally they have more than $1 billion in yearly revenue. And we are building strategically relevant ventures, platforms with them. What does this mean? Let's take Vattenfall as a Swedish utility company. It's quite large. It's 110 years old. They are obviously one of the largest utility companies in Europe. And they need to shift from the old traditional way of energy to the renewables. So from hydrogen to wind to photovoltaic, solar. This is where they have to go. So here we contribute with corporate venture building in a way that the corporate board member knows if I try to do all of that internally, I don't have the right talent because they are all optimized for making the nuclear plants and coal and everything work well. That's good because that's what they're doing for decades. Now attracting an entrepreneur from the outside into this kind of system is not easy, and also for an entrepreneur they cannot fulfill their role in the same way as would they have in an environment where they can, really live their innovation and freedom and creativity, flexibility, and so on. They also know if I do corporate venture capital, CVC, then I'm investing in something in the outside, but I will not use my assets for something I invested in because I don't control this kind of asset. So now you could say I just do M&A. If I do M&A, I would acquire a company from the outside, but this would mean that there needs to be something I can acquire. So when you go into a new direction of a market, in many cases, obviously this is all on the way. This means, especially in more traditional areas, we don't have so many targets that you can actually acquire. Hence, corporate venture building comes into play, where we are a combination out of you invest in something, but you do it together with the board members. So you build something in the on the outside, but you do it with people from the inside and from the outside, and you apply assets from the inside, but you at the same time have control. So you're controlling the assets. That's very important for quality reasons and many compliance regulation topics. And that's what corporate venture building, why it is so special and why it cannot be substituted from something else. Now, two questions I always receive, I want to answer directly because I know it's a new topic and many people, obviously you cannot read so much about it. It is different to innovation labs or accelerators and so on, because here we are not talking about proof of concepts or MVPs. Here we are talking about you make very calculated bets and you do a few of them, but they are very strategically relevant. Whereas in many innovation labs, you have 20, 30, 40 different bets on a smaller size. But what we recognized in the market is they're not so much unicorns, right? So there's a reason that there's a lot of innovation theater, I actually call it, but they're not so much unicorns. And the same accounts for accelerators. We have them for many years. We invested billions in them, but we only have one unicorn in Europe out of them. So something doesn't. So the system is broken here. So I'm not saying here that this is wrong. I'm just saying the purpose of this is something different than what the society needs when we talk about corporate venture building. This is number one. And number two now is the question I always receive. Yeah, but when there is nothing to buy, I mean, why doesn't then? I mean, if there is nothing, then this is a perfect opportunity for an entrepreneur. So why with a corporate? The reason is because the entrepreneur needs money to get it to a certain scale. And when we now compare that with, let's take something like Zalando. I think many people know Zalando. It's you can buy shoes online, or Zappos from the US. It's a model where your dependencies are quite limited to other system players in the market. So this means you can create an interface in the internet or with an app, and the user can obviously buy some shoes. You have marketing, you have sales, you have logistics, and so on and so on. But you have it under your control, and you can grow very quickly. Whereas when you do something in the health industry or climate-related industries, or with photovoltaic solar parks, you need those solar parks. So you don't naturally have a couple of solar parks in your backyard where you can try out some stuff. And also a VC doesn't see the same growth path in those areas as they have seen in B2C areas. That's why there is some reluctancy in the market. So this for the explanation, also to make it a little bit clear where corporate venture building actually is.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Felix. That answered a lot of the questions I would have had normally. I guess now that we have explored this from the corporate's perspective and also from the perspective of the the project, right, particularly in the B2B context and health and climate. Can you tell us a little bit more about the perspective of the entrepreneurs? So what kind of individuals, entrepreneurs, or innovators get involved in your project? What are you looking for? What is the stage of maturity that you start to interact with them? Because as far as I understood, the ideation process starts also from the corporate side. So, they're then plugged in, I suppose, to something you have started already to scope out with the corporate.
Yeah. So as a corporate venture builder, you have two starting points. The first starting point is you ideate together with the corporate. So from the very beginning. And here I would say ideation is a word that needs to be qualified, because I'm not, I don't believe at all in those kind of theories of design thinking and post-its, putting them on the wall things. I think ideation should be something very strategic, very analytical, and creative at the same time. And where you need to be very honest to yourself about what are your assets I have, what kind of people, what kind of objectives, and what kind of people do I have, what kind of resources do I have, what kind of objectives do I need to reach, what is important for the market. So ideation is something way more analytical and strategic than many people actually would wish for. But this is a natural starting point. So number one with the ideation. A second one is we have also in 50% of the cases, so that's why it's quite even, is the corporate is already having done ideation. They have already some kind of venture. So I'm now talking really about a quite broad field. It could be something where they have a business case, or we have sometimes even a situation where they have invested already a couple of millions. Mm-hmm. And they always have the same question, how to continue, what to do now. Is it ready? Can I do more out of this? Is there potential? Is it really relevant for me? Do I have a right to play and win or not? So, and then we are stepping in and we are answering this question for them and for us at the same time. Because obviously, if it doesn't have a certain size and impact, we don't take this as FoundersLane as a venture. So the criteria we are having is we want to have an impact within 3 to 5 years of at least of 100 million. 100 million. Second, it needs to be at board level, or at least with board involvement of the corporate. So to make 100% sure that if you have budget freeze, budget cost cutting programs and so on, that you are not the first project or one of the first ones that just cut off. Because the thing is with corporates is you're building something that is obviously something where you see the results, the big results, a little bit later, not in the first and not in the second year. It probably takes 3 to 7 years that you have really the massive impact. Thirdly, it needs to have an impact on SDGs. So here, especially those that are related to health and to climate. So what means climate? Climate for us is something that is related to construction, facilities, could be logistics, could be mobility, obviously energy. All of those areas have a very clear connection for us to climate. But we are talking here as well from the society, human perspective. We want to build models that have an impact on health and climate of the planet and of society. Those are the 3 key criteria from our side. And we as a corporate venture builder then go all the way from ideation to validation, execution, to growth scale, and obviously then at the end harvest. And harvest could mean IPO, could be exit, but could be also that you have dividends out of this venture or platform we have built. What kind of people are we actually looking for? I would say in FoundersLane, we have many people that are very mission driven. A lot of people that are looking for more in their career than just money. We all have a very strong. We all tend to make the world a little bit a better place. We have a lot of people that had already exits or IPOs, and that they all have they all feel a responsibility. A lot of people in our company, they have children, and we really see that we have a responsibility in applying our skills and experience for the market, as we really see that the corporate venture building is not only another tool. No, it's not a tool. It's an asset class that is not in the market, and we see it as the key for solving the biggest issues we are actually facing as humankind. And that's why we're looking always for people that have, additionally to that, they are highly skilled, also a high motivation to make this planet a little bit a better place, and that also understand it's not rocket science. Actually, it's all there. We all have it on our hands, at our hands. Yeah, it is. We have the data in health, but we have it distributed. We need to interconnect it. We can easily solve climate because we have the buildings already, but we need sensors. We need to be a little bit more careful with our heating. We need to measure. We need to use the resources we already have. We have thousands and millions of vehicles in the cities, but everybody has their own one or two. So there's so many ways of having impact with so many low-hanging fruits, that also our responsibility in FoundersLane is to be very clear about it, transparent about it, and do this disciplined work we have to do. But we also see that not a lot of other players are taking this responsibility. When we talk about the action, there's a lot of thinking, but it's not anymore the time about thinking. It is the time about acting.
So let's assume that I'm now finishing my MBA at ESADE. Just as an example, I'm an engineer by background, and I worked on an innovation course where I developed a concept that has to do with, let's assume it's a platform for solar, and it's about measuring how much energy is being spent or wasted in solar plants. So how do I collaborate with FoundersLane? Do I get employed by FoundersLane? Do we find a project to work on together? How does it normally begin?
No, you're talking about Johannes Burkhardt, obviously. I think we can clearly state his name. I think he is a prime example of I think a great alumni of ESADE, I would say, and he has done a tremendously good job building one of our ventures that is also in media in many countries, called Solytic. It's now the fastest growing solar software startup in the world. So not in Germany, not in Europe, in the world. It just got yesterday recognized as one of the most important climate startups in Germany. I think they even had the wrong numbers. They have, I think, 3 times more funding even as they know publicly. But we always try to be actually down to earth and not so much showing off with numbers. But in this case, I need to show a little bit off with numbers so that people also understand the impact he has created in the last 3 years. And I think it's 3 years, maybe a little bit less even. He created a startup that is now in more than 50 countries. And he has gone through many crises because it's obviously not a topic that is super sexy, but he has, together, we have actually fought and we have found our way to make it to the success today. He also acquired 2 other companies in that time. So it's not only building one company. Corporate venture building is applying all other investment types at the same time. So we have built something, we have bought other companies, we have integrated them, and we are partnering with other companies. And that is important when we talk about big scale. So, and he, I think he just finished his MBA, and then he just approached me, and we just had a phone call, 15 minutes, like with many people that have a very strong CV. I normally one of the founding partners of FoundersLane. We have a very easy phone call, and we always try to find out what is your motivation. Just what we actually talked about, and it seemed to be a great fit. And then we just met with a small group of people for coffee, and then we actually found out that his purpose and motivation for climate, for photovoltaic, is obviously very close to our heart as well. And to that time, we also, and still we are working with utility companies, and then obviously it was a great fit. He started being an entrepreneur in residence in our company. It's a concept where he is employed for the time up that we have a legal entity. And then when we have a legal entity where he then takes the managing director founder role, up to that point in time, he is employed in our company. Then his contract obviously gets canceled, or he's switching the contract from FoundersLane to the contract of this new legal entity with the full responsibility plus equity package. This could be, in some cases, it has already been 0 months. Like, there were just a couple of days, and then they directly got the contract of the new entity. In other cases, it can be also 12 months. It really depends on a couple of parameters. I personally believe it is also good to have 3 to 6 months of entrepreneur in residence time, so it's easier to actually get a little bit comfortable with the situation, get to know the people, the environment. You also can structure all the contracts together with us, so that you don't only get the contracts and then you just sign them. You're also part of the creation of everything. So I think this would be the normal process, and this counts for the people. This applies for the people who want to be the founder. We also have people that actually they want to be more in the ideation process. So this is the other part. Yeah. So being like in the process, we actually like to call it white space garage. So as said, I don't like too much the wording ideation. For me, it's about finding the white spaces. It's not so much about ideating. It's about finding the white spaces, the big opportunities of 100 million plus that are relevant, strategically relevant for your company, with a right to play and right to win, and an impact for society and the planet. This is what we call white space garage. And also here we have MBA students who then say, maybe I stay in the first parts of the process for maybe 1, 2, 3 years, and then I also have the control of actually developing some of those ventures or platforms. And if I have something super attractive, then here I will jump into the founder role as a next step. So both ways are possible. Johannes took actually a way where we have done all the work before he joined. And then he came into play, and he took then the role of the founder, but he has been employed something like 6 months before he started, something like that, maybe 4.
Felix, thank you very much. This has been really helpful. It helps us understand different paths that innovators can take, and particularly for mission-driven or moonshot oriented innovators, I would say that this is a very attractive option considering the complexity of missions and moonshots. Collaboration with large companies is necessary. So having that kind of vehicle that takes them on the journey and solves all their challenges in getting involved with the startup, I think it's of crucial relevance. So wonderful. So thank you very much. We will be delighted to stay in touch with you and hopefully send you some MVAs.
Thank you so much. Stay healthy, and thank you for this opportunity, Ivanka. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.